5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hello, everybody. See, it says the Ramble. Alex, and that's me, and I'll be here until midnight Eastern Daylight Time. And how are you all? Good to see you. Nice to have you on board here on a Friday. I'm going to talk to you for a couple of minutes here, and then we're going to go to the citizen panel in about 5 minutes or so, or 10 minutes or so. However, you know. In case you're wondering why there was little problems at the beginning of the show, I'll tell you, the technology is, the more you think the technology is perfect, the more imperfect the technology is. And what I have to do in order to get YouTube to pick up this signal that you're watching right now, could I do that if you weren't getting a signal? No, you couldn't. Okay. I have to put in a certain key number, which remains the same all the time. However, the other day something went wrong and I had to reset up all my stuff here, and I forgot to change the key number because it automatically changed the key number. So that wasn't in there, so I had to put that in there. But we finally got ourselves on the air on time. And that's all that really matters, isn't it, folks? Doesn't it? So how you feeling, Alex? Oh, Betty Davis said life ain't for sissies. Getting old ain't for sissies. Wait a minute. Getting old ain't for sissies. That's what she said. And part of it is not being able to remember that life ain't for old age isn't for sissies. No, it's like right now. You all kind of know how I feel. Because you've got in back of you this scythe hanging over your head called the coronavirus, all right? And so your whole it's hurting my ear for some reason. So you kind of feel like, hey, I could be dead tomorrow because of this, if I get the virus and I start coughing and I cough too much, and then all of a sudden I'm in bad shape, right? And that's all very possible, okay? So as you get older, getting older is a constant dance with death in trying to figure out what exactly is going to get you. And so now, what do I have wrong with me? Well, I finally got something that could get me, but they got it in time and everything should be okay. The doctor says this isn't the thing that's going to kill you. There are a lot of other things out there waiting for you. But I can say I'm a cancer survivor. Well, not yet. I haven't survived it yet. I've still got it. But, it'll go away with time. So anyway, but you get all these little aches and pains and things like that. Like I've got a hernia. Okay. I'm not doing anything about that. Because I got too many other things to work on. My eyelids need surgery here, not for cosmetic reasons, but because they're drooping too much, and that causes dirt and bacteria to get in there, and that's why I get conjunctivitis, okay? So that has to be done, and so girlfriend said she'd go the $4,000 to have me take the bags out from underneath here. How do you think this will look if I don't have the bags any longer and the eyes are wide open? No. Okay. So that needs to be done. What else is wrong with me? What other little illness plagues me? That's really about it. If I think about it, I mean, the cancer, the hernia. Oh yeah, the neuropathy. I have the neuropathy. All right. So all these things are like saying, hey, you got over the cancer? Okay, here comes another one. So I don't know. I ought to be young again. I ought to be able to just go out and get laid for the fun of getting laid. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing that old age has given me: a certain amount of dignity. Now, actually, there's nothing dignified about being old because everybody makes jokes about you being old and everybody blames anything you do wrong on the fact that you're old and you blame it on yourself, okay? So when you're old, you have a lot of lack of self-esteem. But the one thing you do get is your dignity back. Because when you're younger, and when you're a guy, especially when you're younger, you spend all your time trying to get laid. All right, that's it. That's all that's on your mind. They say that the average male, healthy male, in his 20s or 30s, thinks about sex about every 10 minutes or something ridiculous like that. It's not that we're going to act on it or that we're going to pursue it, but the things we will do to get laid is ridiculous. Because what we'll do is we'll put up, for instance, let's say you're going out on a date and you're going out with a woman, and I'm like really lefty, right? And let's say she said on a date, and I'm now in my 20s, but it's a sure thing she's coming back to my place later to have sex with me, all right? And she at some point says, you know, Trump's really a great president. Now, when you're younger, you will have a tendency to let that go by because getting laid is more important than standing up for your political ideals. But as you get older, that starts becoming a point. And at my age, hey, I'm happily married, and nobody's happily married, but I'm as happily married as a person can be happily married. I'm not chasing any tail at this point, and especially since they've been using my prostate like a pincushion for the last couple of months. So you get back your dignity, you know, because as a guy, you're not constantly thinking about, I gotta get laid. Oh boy, it's Friday night, I gotta get, you know. And I'm telling you, I can't tell you how much time I spent mentally pursuing that. Never did anything untoward a woman. Never was forced myself on a woman or anything else, but I did play the role of seduction. Everybody plays that game. Women do it, men do it. But it never got. At this age, I have my dignity. That's the one thing I've got left. You know, heaven knows I barely have an erection, but you know, I've got my dignity back. I wonder if that's going to make me not able to monetize the show tonight. Well, screw them over there at wherever. Because, you know, when you turn this on tonight, did you see the ad? There was an ad that went on first. And if I were to reboot the picture over here, an ad will come up. Every time that happens, by the way, I get a couple of pennies. So whenever you get a chance, just, you know, come to this YouTube site and play the YouTube thing. Let me see here. If I reboot this, let me see here what happens. I'm just looking at it now. Will an ad start running? Yep, there's the ad. It's for, does your pet have diabetes? Boy, am I proud to be part of that. Well, anyway, and then they will say later after the show, cannot be monetized, but it will monetize anything that you run. If one, it means that there's certain advertisers that will not advertise if you're in that cannot be monetized category, because they may say, keep me away from that kind of controversial discussion. And what did it say? Scott says, tell the story about throwing the racist out of your car. No, I'm not going to tell that one again, Scott. You love to hear me tell stories over and over and over again. But no, that happened when I was younger, and I did throw a racist out of my car who I was taking back to my apartment because it was a sure thing. And I did that when I was in my 30s, I think. So I was very proud of myself that, you know, as soon as she used the N-word, I said to myself, you see, Scott, I'm telling the story now. Screw you, Scott. Jeez almighty, forcing me to tell stories that I don't want to tell. Anyway. But anyway, the point is that as you get older, you know, and also life comes down to, I don't know how many years I've got left. Hell, I could have 1 year. I could have 10 years. I could live to be, who did I see the other day? Every now and then you come across somebody um, who is really old. And there was a director, worked with Orson Welles. I'm trying to remember his name now. See, my mind is like, I gotta look him up. Because this will drive me crazy for the rest of the night if I don't do something about it. Let me see here. He was in Saboteur. Okay, Saboteur. T-E O-U-R? Saboteur. No, Saboteur. Come on. How do you spell Saboteur? T-E-U-R? Saboteur? No, I can't remember now. What? Saboteur. Maybe it's, how do you spell Saboteur? Saboteur. Well, Saboteur. Oh, there we go. I got Saboteur. Here we go. And I can't remember the guy's name right now. So let me find out what his name is. Here, hold on a second. Norman Lloyd is his name. Norman Lloyd, do you ever remember the Hitchcock picture Saboteur? That was the one I was just looking up, folks. Do you remember Norman Lloyd in Saboteur? Now, you'd probably say, well, I don't know Norman Lloyd in Saboteur, but if you ever saw the picture of Saboteur, that's the one that ends on the Statue of Liberty, where the bad guy falls over the side, and Robert Cummings is down holding on to the torch, and with one hand, and with the other hand, he's grabbed onto the guy's coat sleeve. And he's holding on to him, says, just hold on, the cops are coming, they'll get you out of this, you'll be okay. And the guy looks over, and the thread on his, I think it was on this side, starts going. And you see that the sleeve is going to come apart from the rest of the coat, and he falls. And it's a great scene. That was Norman Lloyd. Now, I thought Norman Lloyd, geez, how old could he possibly be? Because he's still alive, right? And I looked him up, and believe it or not, Norman Lloyd, guy who fell off the Statue of Liberty, is 105 years old. And I think he may be going on 106. Let me see here. Norman Lloyd, here we go. He was born in Palmetto, New Jersey, and it doesn't say his age. Oh yeah, November 8th, 1914. That would make him actually 106, I think. Oh, in November 8th, make him 105. Yeah, he's going on 106. Going on 106, and he's got all his marbles. That's the wonderful thing. See, I would love to be 106 if I could sit here and still do my little monologue and talk to you and have a clear mind about it. And then there was this other actress who it eludes me because they did a documentary on her that's on Amazon. And I'm forgetting her name right now, and I watched the whole documentary because it was a terrific documentary. She got all wrapped up in being blacklisted during the communist witch hunting days back in the 50s. And I looked to see if she was still alive, because in this documentary, she looked like she was somewhere in her 90s, okay? She's 102, and she's still alive, and Shecky has gone to see her at events and says she's so sharp it's ridiculous. So if I could be that age and be that, with it, well, I'm not now. I couldn't come up with the term live it. I can't come up with the name of the actress. Isn't that terrible? Yeah. Anyway, so getting old ain't for sissies is what Betty Davis said, or it was, at least it's been attributed to her, and she was right. It's not easy. But it's not easy being young either. I mean, having to get laid all the time, having your male urges uh, compound themselves and turn you into this piece of jelly that is only thinking about, the lower half of his body. That isn't probably isn't a great deal either. Somewhere in between is really nice. I wish I could age and not have all the aches and pains. And I just went through this whole thing with 5 treatments of high dose radiation, and then they put radioactive seeds in my prostate, which are now sitting there and boiling in my prostate, killing every last little cancer cell. And I've never spent that much time in a hospital in my entire life. I think the most I ever spent in a hospital prior to this was I did get a kidney stone, and they had to keep me there for 4.5 days while the kidney stone flushed itself out. And then before that, the most time I ever spent in the hospital was having my tonsils out when I was 8 years old. Yeah. So, all of a sudden, I believe me, I know how to tell the cab driver to get to whatever particular building I need to go to at Mount Sinai Hospital. So, anyway, let's go to. Was any of that interesting? I don't know. Let me see here. Scott, you're out there. I know you're out there. Is that interesting, Scott? Erection, you're not up to. Our erections are not up to what they used to be. That's correct, Scott. Oh boy. Anyway, let me see here. Whose mom lived to be 100? Wes Baggett. Hey, Wes, how are you? We haven't heard from you in a long time. Wes Baggett says his mom lived to be 100. My mom lived to be 100. And people say, well, your mom lived to be 100, so you'll live to be 100. Well, that's not true. My father died at 59. Okay. Let me see here. Where is the? Here we go. We get the Skype going. For some reason, I've got this really, really fast Mac here. This is Mac Pro, this beautiful Mac Pro that I bought. And you'd think things would be faster, but like when it comes to doing getting the Skype going, it just doesn't get going. It doesn't get going. Okay, well, it's time for you now to call me. And I have the Skype lines are open. If you look at my at Gabnet Live, if you've got it up on Skype, you can see there's a little green button that says, "Hey, he's active," and it's your time to call. By the way, it says, "Do those cancer seeds stay in your prostate forever, or do they dissolve and work themselves out?" No, they stay there forever. But they're not alive. After about 2 months, they no longer are radioactive. Okay, who's the first person tonight? Of course, the first person up is it's usually always him anyway, But there's Phil. We have him in the same spot he was in last night as a bottom on our page. So good. Hello, Phil. How are you?
I usually wasn't the bottom.
You weren't usually the bottom. Here comes. Let me see here. Here comes Josh Wheeler. I got to wait for him to pop in here, for his picture to pop in before I can put his picture online. Are you there? There we go. Okay, now I can do it. Let me see here. Josh there. Josh 42. Okay, Josh, are you there? There he is. Hello, Josh. How are you this evening?
I'm good. How you doing?
Yeah. Listen, I got to tell you something about the last time you called, and you said something that I really took to heart, and it is somewhat of a problem, and that was you were saying that you were kind of getting a little, and you said it also on Jack's show, a little disturbed about how hard it is to participate, let's say, in our Charlene?
Yeah, am I okay? Because I'm in my car.
Well, we can hear us coming back at you, Charlene.
Oh, I thought that was going to happen. All right.
Yeah, and we can't see.
I better call you when I get home.
Yeah, call us when you get home.
Okay.
All righty. Okay. All right. Anyway, no, but you said that you felt kind of it was hard to get into a conversation because sometimes it gets sidetracked and so on and so forth. Would you explain that again? Because I wanted to do, when I saw that you were coming, you called tonight. I wanted to say I'm going to defer to Josh. Explain.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to, I will. Want to, upset you.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think at times there are people that take shows that were going in a good direction. They get them off track with what I would consider childish behavior. I mean, we do not always have to talk politics, and it doesn't always have to be serious. All I care that it's whatever the conversation is that it stays away from just becoming chaotic. And I think at times we're going pretty good, and then out of the blue, someone just starts going like this, I mean, and doing something like that.
Yeah.
And then aggravate, and then the conversation stops, and then it's a time waster, and it just distracts people. And I'm not the only one that drives crazy, but
yeah,
I just, I guess the other night it got pretty bad, and then it got pretty bad on Jack's show after that, and I was just like, I just didn't have anything to say really, because we'd started talking, and then
you said you had the same problem on Jack's show.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes people are just rude or inconsiderate of other people. I mean, I don't interrupt really if I can help it, at least. I mean, sometimes on Skype it's a little hard because you're not in the room, and Skype's a little delayed here and there and back and forth. But man, some folks just don't, they don't get it.
And you're not pointing fingers at anybody,
No, I mean, I think we have some repeat offenders, but I mean, I don't really want to, argue with them. I mean, if they want to call and, say that they like doing that or whatever, that's their business. I mean, if I'm like the one-man minority and it just drives me crazy, but everybody else loves it, then I'm just the one-man minority. That's fine. Then I'm not going to ruin everybody else's fun,
Yeah.
Sometimes I get to call on my one night a week, and everyone will have had their fun for a while, and then we'll start talking about something that's interesting. And like 45 seconds into it, someone will do something like that, and the show kind of goes sideways, and it's hard to get it back sometimes. And
well, as the ringmaster,
I really didn't want to say anything because it's not my program, and regardless of what you format in this program, so I didn't want it to sound like I did not appreciate what we have, because I do. I mean, greatly. So
Well, we appreciate you, Josh. And the reason why I took what you said seriously was because it is something that sometimes I feel as a ringleader here, as the ringmaster, that sometimes the lion cage gets a little unruly, and it's hard to reel it in. Jack did say to you when you told him the same thing about his show, that the same thing was happening on his show that night.
Right.
That he and I had talked about a week earlier, and I called him after his show and I said, "Was tonight particularly crazy? Or is it my imagination? Or did my show get out of hand, and did yours get out of hand, and there was nothing we could do about it?" And he agreed, but we couldn't come up with a solution,
Well, I mean, I know that you're worried about, if callers were to drop or whatever, but I mean, to me, there's just some people that just need to be more respectful of other people, and that is what it is. I mean, I just want to we do not have to talk serious business all the time. I mean, it doesn't have to be my topics. I mean, there are some things you guys that I might not really have an interest in. I don't want to say I don't care. So I just wait until the topic changes. But then it seems like when the topic changes and it comes to something that I would want to talk about, and someone else doesn't want to, they start acting like a child and distracting the program.
Yeah.
I just wanted him to do what I would do.
You're also also saying
sit that 20 minutes out.
You were also saying something about people with their cameras.
I mean, I get a little tired of it just because what they're holding up to the screens and stuff like that doesn't really bother me. What bothers me is the fact that it gets on your nerves and then the show stops for 45 seconds.
What happens is, and I have to say this to people who call, and most people call, I mean, Phil, for instance, for the most part, just, has one shot of himself, and that's fine. And Jeff is the same, and you are too. But we do have some people that like being out, like Charlene was just out in a car. But she didn't for a moment take a look to see if anybody could actually see her, And this is, because we're doing this as a video primarily now as opposed to an audio, that is a consideration, And by the way, folks, you don't have to have a great camera to do this show. I mean, Phil has a $4,000 camera, as we know. Now, what kind of camera are you using, Phil? It's a Logitech, right?
Yeah, same one as yours.
The 4K?
No, the older one, the 920 or something.
This is a 4K. But look, that's your average run-of-the-mill Logitech. And Logitech, and it does a great picture. And I don't know what Jeff has, but his picture is beautiful tonight. These days, Skype will take nothing cameras and make them look great. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. But it's when you're constantly moving it, or you're using a what do you call it, an iPhone, and you're trying to take a picture of yourself, but you're holding it and it's moving. It can get a little distracting for the viewer. Is that what you're referring to, Josh? Josh?
I mean, I think for the most part, I mean, Phil has really never done anything that I can remember, bugging me. And I don't even care if people call in and they're out walking around or whatever. As long as as long as it's not a distraction. The video part isn't so bad, but there's just this constant stream of people that, they don't turn the audio off when they're in loud. And it's just always stuff that distracts you, and you got to stop and talk to him about it.
Yeah.
It happens 3 or 4 times, and then sometimes you get upset, and then it goes back and forth.
Well,
I just felt like I had to say, folks, you have to take some respect for the people that are listening to the program.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it was a general disrespect in that case, and there are some other folks who do it in other ways too. I mean, I was kind of getting a little aggravated with sometimes, whatever the topic, people just did not seem to be very tolerant of other people's personal desires. And what I mean by that is I've just found on this program, if someone said, I didn't feel very well today and I ate an apple, someone's got to say, oh, no, you shouldn't eat an apple. You should eat an orange. I'm telling you, that's better. And it's like, no, look here, dickhead. I ate an apple because that's what I wanted. I wasn't asking for your advice. I was telling you. You know what I mean? And then they go back and like yesterday when you said you don't need to give out medical. I like that because I don't need 45 people to tell me what I should take. I'll take what I want to take. And if I mention that I took it, I don't really need your opinion.
Yeah.
I hate that kind of stuff. I mean, I just hate people who are like, here, try some of this food, and you say, no, I don't want it. I don't like it. Oh no, you need to try some. No, I don't. I've been alive long enough to know what I want, what I don't want, what I like, what I don't like. I don't need you to tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, I could really live with that, I guess. I mean, that's the way people are, but just some of the stuff that gets, off track. I just wish it didn't happen, because if it didn't happen, the show would have a smooth flow, and this is the best thing going. I mean, where else can you call in and talk like this with people?
The only problem, like for instance, we have a problem with you tonight because you're cutting in and out a little bit, and I think that's because I don't know where your I don't know where your Wi-Fi is in comparison to where you are. But it probably shouldn't be breaking up as much as it is. Now, Todd, on the other hand, look at Todd. Todd just joined us. Todd is in his truck, and look at that picture. I mean, it's gorgeous. You know.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. And Phil's picture is everybody's picture is gorgeous. I mean, you know, I understand what you're saying, where you're coming from, Josh, and you know, sometimes I wonder if the whole concept of the citizen panel was a good idea. Then I think some nights, yeah, it is a great idea because that was a great show. And then sometimes I walk
think
away from it and
it is.
in a flop sweat, going, "Boy, did I have to work that hard, or is life better than that?" You know. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably any job, but the format's great. I love the format. I mean, this is. I look forward to this all week. I mean, I think one time you said that's the biggest compliment people could pay you. I mean, I look forward to it
yeah,
all week. It helps me get through the day on Friday. It's like the week's over. I can go home. I can sit in this chair. I can take my fucking pain pills, and I can talk to some people for a couple hours. It's great.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
I love it.
And we've been joined now by there's Kevin. Hello, Kevin. How are you? Okay.
Good. How are you?
We have a little bit of. What is that noise?
Where that's from?
Jumping around.
What is that? Somebody.
One at a time.
Josh, mute yourself. Are you muted, Josh? You're muted. And you're muted, Kevin. So it's not you. Jeff, are you muted? Yeah. Are you, Todd? Are you muted?
No.
Oh, that's where it was coming from.
What's coming from?
There's some kind of noise coming. See, this is what we're talking about. There's some kind of noise coming from your truck. Do you have a fan on?
No, I don't.
Wow.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, but we're not having the problem now. We'll just.
I didn't know. So I had my phone sitting on my computer. So.
Oh! That is probably what was happening. Okay, good. Anyway, yeah, you know, it's an incredibly difficult format to do. I think I developed a format that nobody but me and a few other people who do it here at Gabnet have been able to accomplish. You know, I haven't been able to sell this idea to normal broadcasting. It's not like anybody's interested in it. So,
Well, they'll wait till you die and then steal it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, that's the
yeah.
American way, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
wait till somebody can't sue you and then take their idea.
Okay, Phil.
Have you noticed that, like on Fox News, they will have 4 people up in a window?
Yeah.
4 separate windows, and they Skype in or however they call in, but they seem to get a feed that's very, very similar. Maybe this is becoming the norm?
Well, no, that's a different situation. There you're going out and you're getting what do we call them, pundits. And they're led by the host. Okay, here these are a bunch of people calling in, talking with each other. It's
I was just talking about the look.
The look.
Yeah.
Oh, I think on a constant basis ours looks better.
I wasn't saying that theirs was better. I was just saying that it had some similarities to the look of what they're doing now on a show on these Fox shows, for instance. Where you see the different windows and you have the people chiming in, and sometimes they're respectful. And
in their terrific desire on these channels to get pundits on the air, they will have almost too many of them on the air at one time. I mean, one day I saw 6 pundits and the host, and I went, why? And then they did a 10-minute segment, so everybody had exactly a minute and a half to talk.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about the content. It was more talking about the format or the look of
Harris calls them the power panel.
The Harris?
Harris called it the power panel.
Faulkner.
Oh, what was that? The black woman?
Yes.
Yeah, she's does an overtime thing, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she does outnumbered, and then she does outnumbered
and outnumbered overtime.
Overtime, yeah. Like we need more overtime.
Yeah, exactly.
If it was outnumbered, that's the name of the show. Outnumbered.
Yeah.
And then it's outnumbered overtime.
The legs on the couch, and then she moves on to overtime.
Yeah, try it. I call the show "Catch the Snatch." You know,
They cross their legs.
They do, but that whole format had to have been thought up by what's his name, the ex-head of.
Yeah, it had to have been.
Yeah,
had to have been.
Because I mean, I was turned on to that show originally simply because I was waiting for those women to, do the Sharon Stone deal. Yeah.
If you look at CBS, they're at a desk. The desk is glass, kind of, so you can see the whole person, or it's plexiglass. But
no, but I'll tell you, if you go over to MSNBC, it's just it's a desk, and women sit in front of the desk, and you go over to CNN, women sit in front of the desk. Over at Fox, they've had women sitting on stools with legs, so you could see their legs. The thing was made of plexiglass, so you could see through it. I mean, that whole format was centered around women showing various parts of their anatomies almost. TNA, yeah. But that's not proper anymore, right?
A&T?
But anyway, got to say something, and I don't know if anybody agrees or disagrees with me. Today, the president gave a speech about what he's going to do, about declaring a national emergency.
That was quite the show.
Yeah, but I have to say he was quite good today. Because I think somebody finally got to him and said, you want to win the next election? You better stop acting the way you've been acting. And you better start acting more presidential. Did you feel, Kevin, that he was a little bit more on his P's and Q's today? And more the kind of person you wanted him to be in this kind of crisis, although it's a week too late, but,
Yeah, a little bit, but I thought it was kind of funny that he shook hands with every CEO in the country. And then when they finally got to the guys that were running the labs, he started bumping elbows and he said, "Oh, I like that."
I think that the thing that I felt was that at least I couldn't complain about his solutions, okay, but he was doing it for all the wrong reasons. He's doing it for elective purposes, rather than saying, "I've got a national crisis here. I am the leader of this country. It is my job to make sure that this country has as little an event as possible through this thing." What he did today was good. The stock market immediately rebounded by almost the same amount it lost yesterday, yesterday was about 2,400 points. Today it went up just in minutes to 1,800.
I'm only down $95 at this point.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think over the week it's still down 9% or something, isn't it? Over the week.
Oh yeah, it's still not good, but
Yeah.
All it took was him to do something to give people a sense of confidence, or that something was being done, for that to turn around. And that has not been something he's been capable of doing until now. And I think he had some handlers who finally said, "Look, you better start listening to us, or you're gonna lose this whole thing." So I think he came up with some fairly acceptable solutions. As I say, probably a week late. I mean, this probably a couple of months late. This thing should have been headed off at the pass a long time ago, but we didn't do anything about it. But what did you hear it, Todd?
Yeah, I heard it.
What'd you think?
I agree a little bit. It was a little bit better than usual, but
Yeah. How about you, Jeff? You got your hand up. Oh, turn your mic on, Jeff.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Pam and I were listening to it, and all of a sudden we were you can believe it that I said, who wrote this for him?
Yeah.
It sounded like normal for a little bit.
There was one other thing that he did, and I don't know if you noticed this, but he started off by saying, I want to thank all of you for being here, or thank you for being here. He never does that, you know? Never, ever, ever, ever. And he was very conciliatory that way. And I went, geez, you know, this is unusual. Hello, Tony. This is really different for him. Somebody got to him. Somebody said to him, you're losing it, pal. You know, the stock market's going south because you're not instilling confidence, and this is how you got to do it. And he looked like some kid who was told by his parents, now we're going over to grandmother's house, and don't put your feet up on the table, you know. And mind your P's and Q's and call everybody sir and ma'am, and, you know, be the son we were proud of, right? So I think somebody got to him.
Yeah, but remember, after that, when he was interviewed by a couple of people on the news who asked him questions and said, well, didn't you think that this was really inappropriate, what you did, and that you're responsible for some of these things, and you're in charge of this kind of stuff? He goes, oh, no, not me.
Well, that's where all of a sudden I felt he was going off script and gave the wrong answer. You know, there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. The wrong answer was the one he gave when he was asked by that lovely woman over at NBC who I lust after,
Kristen Velker.
Yeah, Kristen Welker. He said, do you hold yourself at all responsible for the crisis that we're currently in? And he said, absolutely not. Blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, that isn't a presidential answer. The answer is the Harry Truman answer. The buck stops here. You know, it's under my watch. It happened under my watch, so I have to take responsibility for it. Obama said that once on one occasion for something. He said, it's only my fault in that I'm president, I am responsible for this, and I didn't manage to head this off at the pass. That would have been the proper answer, and everybody would have gone, gee, you know, Trump's getting to learn how to do his job. Phil, what did you feel?
Well, maybe his initial response to her was not right, but his follow-up, where he said what he did, and the fact is, you know, people aren't giving him credit for cutting off the people from China early on, which did save lives. And if you look at it, there's about 45 deaths in this country right now, and almost most of them are in Washington State. So, you know, I think he has done a good job. He's been fought on every angle for the things that he wanted to do. When he originally cut off a visitation from China, he was called a xenophobe. He was called every name under the book. And now they're turning around and saying, hey, he did the right thing.
Well, no, did he or didn't he? I think he did that more to get at China.
No.
Wait a minute, let me finish. He did that more to get at China because the fact of the matter is, okay, you stop them from coming in from China. That doesn't mean the people from China go to India and then they hop over to Europe and then they come here. You know,
well,
that doesn't stop it by stopping the flow from one place directly to us. Kevin, you have your hand up.
He essentially blamed it on the previous system, is what he said. It was the system that he inherited is what he blamed it on.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of regulations that they talked about today. You know, of course, I'm in the car listening to this stuff. I don't write anything down, but there was a whole bunch of different regulations that he lifted that changed a number of things. And I don't think that the CDC or any of the other agencies were prepared for this kind of thing, but they weren't prepared in the past either.
You know, I got to tell you, Phil, and I can't tell you the number of times I've seen documentaries, and I'm sure the rest of you have as well in recent years, about the eventual pandemic. You know,
yeah.
And so we've always been talking about it, and some countries, oddly enough, have prepared for it. We haven't. We've done nothing. And I'm not blaming that just on Trump. I'm just saying we as a nation almost take this feeling, oh, we'll deal with it when it happens. Well,
Ryan sent out a post today on Facebook that was a limited post. And he said that their test is, I think, going to be ready Monday, and it's a 30-minute result. By using,
that's wonderful. How many tests are going to be available, Phil? How many people? How many tests?
40,000 a day. They
40,000 a day. How many is that a week?
Well, if you have a 5-day week, it's 200,000.
Yeah. Well, no. Now, how many people are in this country?
Well, I understand, but there's other ones. He also mentioned Roush has one, but their test is a 5-hour test, and theirs was released today.
Trump today was talking about we could be ramped up within a week to get out 4 million tests, and that's fine. But that's a spit in the ocean.
Initially, you want to test those that are at risk, those that have either traveled, been exposed to those that you know have the virus, as well as those that are starting to exhibit the reactions, but it could be flu. So the only way you're going to be able to determine, I guess, if it's flu or if it's coronavirus is by administering the test. So if you have somebody that has flu symptoms and you administer this test and you have a result in 30 minutes.
Would you want to see a law passed where if we had sufficient amount of tests that everybody in America would have to be tested?
They can't do that under our Constitution.
Why can't they do it? Wait a minute.
The idea that people are tested. If they have probable cause to test them.
Let me go to our constitutional scholar, Josh. Josh, would that violate anything in the Constitution if they required everybody for public safety to get tested to see if they have the coronavirus or not?
I hopefully I don't break up too much here. I know my connection's poor tonight. I think there would definitely be some Fourth Amendment challenges to that for sure, as an unwarranted search or seizure. A seizure can apply to a person as well. Your time. I don't know. I'm not saying black and white that it definitely would be a violation. I'm saying someone's definitely going to challenge it. And it's 50-50 how it would come out. I think.
Yeah.
Would it be the same thing?
I think we'd have to be much worse off than we are now.
Yeah.
I think we'd have to be much worse off than we are now before it would sail through, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I almost think you'd have to be to the point where, under some of the powers granted to the executive branch in a national emergency. I think you'd see martial law at that. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Let me see here.
Similar to making people get vaccinated.
Hmm?
When they try to force people to get vaccinated, and they have these anti-vaxxers, it's kind of a similar thing that these guys resist vaccination because of either this or some other reasons, and I guess they resist the test, and it could be a privacy issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see here. Hold on a second.
Hey.
There's Ray.
Hey.
Where are you, Ray? I'm
going coal mining.
Yeah.
You're a lighthead.
I'm going to go mine for coal.
Yeah. Anyway, for instance, the Chinese, in China, the virus is now going the other way. It's going down rather than going up. And it's happened because they took some rather draconian measures in order to make that come about. They were literally, I don't know if you saw the videos of them arresting people and dragging them out of their homes, in Wuhan, to get them to detention centers so that they could, be isolated from the rest of the population. But they took very draconian measures, but they wiped it out. How far do we go to stop this? Is I guess my question.
Should we be shut down for a week, like in our certain areas?
A
mile radius.
New Rochelle is like a prison camp now.
Yeah, they got the National Guard there.
Well, I don't think I don't think that's to keep people in. I think it's just to keep people from going in. Yes.
No, I understand that you can't force people to stay in their homes, even if they have
They've done it. They've done it in Italy.
Well, they did it in Italy, but in America, I don't.
Here's how they did it in Italy. You can leave your home, but if you don't have a good reason for being outside your home, they'll ticket you. They'll fine you.
Well, I was listening to something that they were talking about that, and that yes, they want in that 1 mile area. They don't want large gatherings and things like that. But it didn't sound like a prison camp from the way that it was being explained.
Well, in Italy, what I'm saying in Italy is what they're doing is if you are if you're out, turn your audio off there.
Oh,
Ray.
Okay.
If you are out of your house, you have to prove that you're going somewhere that is important for you to go, like they allow you to go to a supermarket or a pharmacy. Those are the only 2 reasons. Otherwise, stay at home. If they find you without a good excuse, they can ticket you. They can fine you something like 200 lira. I don't know, whatever.
But the trains run on time.
No, we're not. It's not time for a joke, Phil.
Okay.
Italy. That's no. Yeah. It's a 70-year-old joke. Okay.
It's like WW2 there.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying that. I mean, how far do we go to protect ourselves, and how far into this are we that it could get really, really dangerous? I mean, the trouble is what our problem is. We don't know. We have no answers to almost anything. We don't know how far this could go.
We got to see how many people get tested and what the numbers really are.
Yeah.
Save it's really a lot.
All I know is I've got an arrow pointed at my back from the coronavirus, and so does Jeff, for instance. And actually, so does Phil, and so does Kevin.
Are you ginning this up?
Huh?
Are you ginning this up?
I'm not ginning it up. I'm not ginning it up. What I'm saying is we have the people who have primarily died as a result of this virus are not children and not teenagers and not young adults. These are people over the age of 55 who have some kind of precondition.
Most of them were in assisted living homes.
No.
Yes.
Phil, around the world, Phil?
Half of them were
no,
in
that's where it started here in the United States. But what I'm saying is around the world, that isn't true, Phil.
Well, in the United States, the people that seem to be vulnerable, the majority of them were in Washington.
People who died in New York State are not people who are in senior facilities.
Oh, that was the Jews' fault.
What? I don't get that.
The guy who, the attorney who was the ground zero in New Rochelle went to Temple and he had it and he spread it to all of those people.
But that was by accident. There was the one guy.
Let's go to where are we with? I'm trying to find which one of these is. I can't figure out which one of these is Charlene. There we go. I got her. Okay. All right. Anyway, yes, Kevin.
So today, or actually last night, they were cutting my daughter's high school time back. And then by the end of the day today, they shut down our high school here in town. We only have one high school. And now they've shut down the whole county, all the schools in the county. There's 7 different districts in this one county. It's kind of convoluted. But we have a lot of rural schools here, and they shut down every one of them. And one of the reasons there is because a lot of the kids, this county in particular has a lot of parents living with kids and elderly parents living with kids, and the kids go to school. The kids could be bringing this stuff home and infecting older people. So that's one of the concerns that they had. They're not necessarily in, assisted living homes. They're living with their kids, and they're bringing this stuff home to their grandparents, and they wanted to try and stop it that way as well.
Yeah. Well, there was somebody who said that if you think, oh well, if I get it, it's not going to be that terrible. Just remember, you can still carry it, and there could be an elderly person who will catch it from you and could die from it.
You wouldn't even know that you're carrying it. Yeah.
Yeah. What is all that noise?
I think that voice is Pamela.
Voice is no voice. Well, anyway, it was just like somebody was cooking or something. Anyway, it's I mean, Phil, you're wrong. It's not people living in assisted living places. Elsewhere here in New York, it's I wasn't aware, for instance, that the mayor of Miami is living in an assisted living facility.
That I wasn't aware, but in Washington State, half the deaths came.
No, but we're talking about Washington State. There are so many. How many other states are now infected with this disease,
where
Phil?
The most cases are and the most deaths.
Where the most cases.
Washington State had
wait a minute.
Confirmed 568, 37 deaths.
Listen,
one
Phil.
recovery, and active 530.
And how many of them were in an assisted? The deaths were.
It doesn't say that, but it just says 37 deaths.
Of them.
Phil, quit being a doctor. The statistics you're wrong on, because we're not dealing with just Washington State. We're dealing with the entire country.
Not dealing with just Washington State. All I said was the majority of the deaths took place in one assisted living facility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, anyways. What? Yeah. All right. Okay. Look who we've been joined by. Hello, Kathleen. How are you, dear?
Tired.
Really? Exhausted? You working at Costco? You working at Costco?
I'm not exhausted, but yeah, 12-hour shifts.
You've been working at Costco, right?
I'm at the wet depot, so I'm in 38 degrees.
Okay.
So we're meat, produce, and then anything refrigerated and frozen.
Let me ask you this.
There's plenty of.
Well, I saw, on the TV tonight, on NBC, they had a picture of all the people who were lined up for Costco to get toilet paper. And it literally was running around the block. Is it that way? Is it that way at your Costco? Wait a minute. We don't have a full house, do we yet?
She's at the warehouse.
I don't work at the store. Here in Tracy, there are 4 Costco warehouses. There's the store. I don't work at that. There's our e-commerce that's gone ballistic.
Yeah.
Then there's our dry depot. Those are the poor folks having to deal with all the shipments of toilet paper and water. I'm in the wet depot. It's all meat, chicken, fish, all kinds of produce, and then anything frozen or refrigerated, cheeses and whatnot. And so usually we, in Tracy, we average about 98 to 110 trailers.
Yeah.
230.
Wow. But answer me this one. Maybe everybody else can too. Why this run on toilet paper? I mean, of all the things that you're doing a run on, why toilet paper?
I guess people think they're going to get the green apple splatters. I don't know. Try.
It's ridiculous because every store is like that. Target, Safeway, everybody.
I was at my Costco yesterday, and there was no line for toilet paper at all.
What do you got?
You know what? There was no canned food left, though.
Oh, the canned
No canned food left.
Well, you're don't say it too loud because people will be at your door. There was people at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well, everybody's
waiting for the damn store to open.
Yeah, everybody's worried about this from the standpoint of that they're not going to be able to come out of their house for 2 months, and so they're getting all the canned goods they can and the stuff that are non-perishable. I'm sure you can buy a good steak. Okay, I'm sure the meat department is just fine at Costco.
Monday, it was funny, I work in the meat department on Monday, so I roll in at 4 a.m. So the manager's we got to get all of 663 out. And so I look at one of the other guys, Kay, And I go, I wonder which store 663 is. They ran out of meat. And so we find everything that's 663, and everything's palletized. So it's 5 big old boxes of this, 20 big old boxes of that. So we send it out. And I go, what do you think 663 is? And Kay goes, probably Las Vegas. And so later on, I find more meat, and I go to my sister-in-law because she's a manager, and I go, can you get a hold of Mark? We found more meat for 663. She goes, girl, we already sent that out. They'll get that today. They'll get more on the second trailer because, it's local. And I go, where is 663? Which store? And she goes, Concord.
God, I wish I had stock in Costco right now. I mean, they got to be doing land office business. I didn't even go over to mine today. Usually I go on Fridays or Saturdays. I'm not going because I don't want to have to put up with it.
I went today. I came home from work, and then I told my son, I said, well, I need to go get some stuff. And really, I just went to get cat food and kitty litter.
Yeah.
I mean, we're good. I cook from scratch. So when you open up my pantry, I'm fully stocked. But what's scary about this whole thing is how ill-prepared people are for just a earthquake or any type of disaster.
Phil, what was this you just sent me? Because you send me things and I don't have time to read them. So why don't you tell us what it says rather than just sending me stuff?
Business Insider says more than 60% of the U.S.'s coronavirus deaths are linked to a Washington nursing home. Here's what we know about it.
No, that we didn't say that wasn't true, Phil. That wasn't the point we were making. We're talking about then as opposed to now.
This was 2 days ago.
No,
2 days ago, 60% of the deaths came from one nursing home, and all I said was,
well, that's because where it broke out first, Phil. Gosh, you're not listening to me.
And I said that nursing homes are vulnerable because of the people that are there
are old. Yeah,
and that's where most of the deaths occur.
Mm-hmm. And those people are the most vulnerable.
Right.
Okay.
But they were concentrated to one facility.
And a boat.
And a boat.
And a boat. And a boat. Yeah.
There's cases of the virus, but there's not that many deaths on the boat yet.
But Phil, all those other people who got it later and who aren't in old folks' homes are going to die.
That's not true.
Yes, they are.
90.
I guarantee you, some of them are going to die.
No, some of them will, but most of them do recover from this. This is
somewhere between 1% and 3% are going to die.
Well, that was based on the old statistic of the number of cases and the number of deaths.
They know in China,
as the cases go up, the percentage of those
we don't look, Phil. Unless you've got
1%
unless you've got a crystal ball, we can't predict what's going to happen. That's why it's a real problem. If we could predict it, wait a minute, let me finish. If we could predict it, then it wouldn't be as big a problem because we'd know how to handle it. But we can't predict it. We don't know how far this is going to go or how many people ultimately are going to get killed. Yes, it started in a old folks home out in Washington, okay, in the United States, and spread from there. May have spread from other places as well, but that was the main outbreak, just like Wuhan was the main outbreak in China. Okay, but there's always a flashpoint in something like this. But now it's spread to the entire country, and the population it's affecting aren't only in senior citizen homes, although they are the most vulnerable.
Read the article.
Well, that's like my buddy and I at Costco were saying, Kay, he goes, Kath, you and I being healthy, we could have it, not even know it, and be infecting everybody else. And I go, right?
Yeah. Yes, Charlene.
Yeah, Kathleen just brought something up. They're saying that, if we ever get the testing now, I heard there's like somebody, where do they have the drive-through testing or something? Like once we get to the point where like we're testing everyone, we're going to find out that a lot more people are actually, carrying it and have it and stuff. And then it's going to get really
South
crazy.
Korea.
You have a full house.
South
Do we
Korea,
have
they
a full
the
house?
drive-through
Okay.
testing.
Well, then I will.
Yeah, that's what they want to have here, where you can get it easier than it is in this country, where I heard that someone was going to be tested. Somebody said her friend is pregnant, and the doctor wanted her to get tested, and she didn't want to go to be tested because she thought she'd be contaminated. And I was out today talking to some people, and the things you hear, they proudly will tell you they're hoarding, 2 cases of water and 2 cases of toilet paper. I mean, that's why there is none now in the store.
Well, what's great about toilet paper is you can't buy enough toilet paper.
I got a lot in the bed.
I mean, what's a lifetime supply of toilet paper? There's not enough of in a full lifetime supply for you to be able to keep it in your house.
We have in Jersey. Do you remember the Pathmark man years ago, that crazy guy with the glasses? Well, they had the ShopRite can sale in Jersey. Well, ShopRite's really big out here now, And they have this thing called Paper Bird. It used to be just ShopRite brand toilet paper. Now they're launching this thing, Paper Bird, so it looks like Whole Foods or something. So they had a great launch on Paper Bird toilet paper because now it was so successful. There isn't one roll in the whole of ShopRite in New Jersey.
We're not advertising Paper Bird toilet paper, but I think there'll be a run on bidets pretty soon.
Yeah.
The guy at the gas station told me we're going to have to use our hands and wash it because there's no toilet paper today.
And you believe
all our trees that are getting leaves are going to all be picked? It's going to be horrible.
Well, they used to use the Sears Roebuck, but we don't have that anymore, right? We'll have to use nobody has newspapers, right? I don't know.
Who's trying? Hold on a second. I got
on the cob.
Who is it? Who is it that just called us? Who is this that I have on the line? Anybody? Okay, somebody was calling and it didn't come through.
Give you a royal flush.
Well, no, but I'm not. I don't have another person here, so they didn't come on. Okay.
I had 3 commercials tonight, Alex.
Well, good. You made me some money. Okay. I don't know who that was, and I don't want to add one more person here right now. Anyway, I mean, I don't like any speculation on this program about it. It is what it is, and we're going to have to see where it winds up. And all we can hope is that we catch it early enough with people who do get it, and everybody's safe.
A good place to track it. Have you ever gone to the John Hopkins map? You can see all the stats there.
Oh, really?
It's arcgis.com.
Yeah.
It's got a beautiful map and where everything's going live and all that good stuff.
Does it say what state has the most outbreaks right now?
Well, it goes all over the world, but looking at it right now, it's spread out all over. It looks like Washington has the biggest dot, and then mid-California has a pretty big dot.
What about Massachusetts, like the Boston area or something?
I don't think anything is up there. Yeah, Massachusetts.
Well, let's for
clean.
A moment.
They canceled the Boston Marathon,
so that we don't have to be completely dour about this. Well, let's talk about the good things that are happening as a result.
No, actually, they do have some.
The good news in this whole coronavirus. To begin with,
I was thinking of New England.
To begin with, Joel Osteen won't be able to do his revivals down in his big mega church for a while. And so that's good news, right? And it's good news for me that they're not going to be doing the Final Four with I think with an audience. They're going to have they're going to do the Final Four, but they're not going to do it at all. They've canceled it completely.
Nothing.
Well, that for me is just wonderful. So I mean, there are 2 positive things for me right now.
You know what? If they did have professional sports in an empty stadium, they should pipe in canned laughter.
Yeah.
I watched Colbert last night, and he had no audience.
Really?
Colbert, they broadcast the rehearsal.
Yeah,
So
well,
Colbert.
it was like 10 staff members or something.
Yeah,
He wasn't happy at all.
Well,
It was pretty funny, actually.
Well, it was
He
funny.
needs his audience.
It was
on
funny.
that
I was
show.
watching The Price is Right. I was watching the end of The Price is Right the other day because, after all, that's the only time to watch that show because that's when the big prize is given away, okay? And at the end of the credits, they start rolling the credits. And one of the last credits is, this show was performed before a live studio audience before the outbreak of the coronavirus.
Wow.
Good grief.
So I'm going, okay, fine. I imagine Jimmy Kimmel's not going to have an audience tonight. Let me see.
Conan, all of them.
Oh, no, yeah, well, Conan never had an audience anyway, but that's another story altogether. But I mean, there was one other positive thing. Oh yeah, the St. Patrick's Day parade's been canceled in New York City, and I'm going,
nobody.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, right. Am I right? Am I right, Tony? You know what I'm talking about, right? No green puke in the subway
They
cars.
get drunk by the bar, then they fight in front of my house. Then they shake hands and they start fighting again by the end of the block.
Yeah, one less excuse for the Irish to get drunk.
Now they just kill each other.
Yeah. So
Vince
The
Hurd.
milk enough already.
yeah. Now you're there in the truck, right, Todd?
Yeah.
How are you being careful about leaving the cab, as it were?
Yeah, I'm pretty careful. You know, I go in the stores and the truck stops and fuel up, and I try to clean my hands, and I watch what I grab and touch, and I try to stay away from. Well, I always like staying away from all the truck drivers. So.
Yeah, right. But I mean,
Yeah, they're kind of shitty places anyway, right?
yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, some are, some aren't. You know, just take it easy, stay away from them all.
Well, I've been in one of the worst places you can be during a crisis like this. I've been in one clinic and one hospital.
Yeah.
And and now what do you call it? Mount Sinai sent out a thing today. Didn't send it to me, so I guess it doesn't apply to me. But Marjorie got a copy from them saying they are limiting the amount of guests that a patient can bring to Mount Sinai to one person.
Wow.
To Mount St. Sinai.
And we what?
To Mount St. Sinai.
Mount St. Sinai, yeah. And then here's one that's kind of interesting. We have a dear friend who has been married forever to this wonderful guy, and he has gotten I don't know if it's MS or something else, but he's had to be put in a care facility, and she visits him every day. I mean, religiously. All families have been banned from going.
That's terrible.
I know.
My mom, I'm going to see her tomorrow, but it's just family only can go see her.
Right.
At her elderly apartment.
Yeah.
That was at the request of the patients, the family ban.
Oh, really? No, he's joking.
We're all laughing.
I don't want to see anybody.
Yeah, I know. Todd just gave you a look like, yeah, sure, Phil. Don't, right. So you don't deal with other truck drivers much, right, Todd? You said.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a loner. I really don't. I mean, I know other truck drivers, but we don't bump into each other. We're all around different parts of the state. The country or whatever. So
you haven't had the ability to talk with any of them to see how they're feeling about this,
I can listen to whatever they got to say on a CB, or I can go in the truck stop and listen to them. But again, I'm a loner. I stay pretty much by myself.
How has this affected your business? You said it was hurting your business, right?
Yeah, I spoke to my fleet manager, and it's hurting in some spots, but it's definitely picking up with the toilet paper and the hand sanitizers, and they got loads now.
Yeah,
just for that.
Yeah,
taking $2 a mile just pulling that.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing that.
I used to run toilet paper. I ran toilet paper and paper towels everywhere.
There you
We're
go.
having to borrow trailers because we have so many loads going out.
Really?
Yep.
Really? That's what I used to say about my sex life. Thank you. I'll be here all week. I wonder if I'll take my monetization away for that joke. They'd have to listen to it because there's no dirty words in it. But yeah, this whole toilet paper thing, I think, has been the weirdest manifestation of this thing about why people suddenly go for the toilet paper.
I hope their toilets get overplugged.
In
I
fact,
hope the sewage stops.
They better buy plunges.
Tonight I saw somebody. We went up because Marjorie had to get money out of the ATM, which I guess is a killing device because you could get germs from just And as we're going up, there's somebody on the street corner with about, I guess, maybe 30, 40 candles, red and green candles, lit. And we couldn't figure out why.
I saw red and green too tonight. Does that mean something? Yeah.
A boat.
Christmas is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Who somebody else saw the same thing?
Yeah, I saw red and green lights tonight in Jersey.
And
Does that
candles.
mean something? Yeah.
Does it mean something? Is it some kind of like
A signal, yeah.
Scotty, beam me up.
Right.
UFO taking people and exploring them.
People.
Yeah. But otherwise, how do you people feel about the way the news networks have been handling this whole thing?
Terrible. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, have at it, because I was going to say, I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
It's the way that the words that they're using, and they're using all these. I forgot what I'm shitty at these objectives or whatever. These extra words they're throwing in there. The terrible this,
inflammatory,
and the terrible that, and look at what is happening with this. They're just enunciating way too much, and they're building these panels with a coronavirus panel.
Well, that
their
was
laptops have stickers on them that say coronavirus panel, and they're all sitting around taking questions, and
stupid.
The whole fucking hour is on. Sorry, effing hour is on coronavirus, and it's like. It's been going on for 2 weeks now, and it's a bunch of BS.
What net? Haven't heard this.
Well, the one that I saw that especially bothered me again is MSNBC, who have become the whores to beat all whores. Okay.
Exactly.
And they have literally what I would call their coronavirus set.
Exactly.
It's like they've got the background is all coronavirus, and then they've got all the countries that have the coronavirus.
Big balls with the things, the cells hanging out of them and stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the coronavirus set. And so I went over to see if CNN was doing the same thing. And I went over to CNN, and there was a woman just sitting at a desk, with a thing in back of her that said coronavirus.
You just want to walk into the studio and start spraying it.
I mean, they have become so terrible over there, and it bothers me because that should be the network I should love.
Yeah.
And they've become such whores, really.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. It's part of the hysteria.
Go ahead, disagree with me, Phil.
Yeah, he hates it.
I don't
cupcakes.
What?
I think they're all ginning it up quite a bit. I think the only person that's got it straight is Trump. He's saying, "Hey, don't overreact, and wash your hands." And we're working on tests and an antidote.
Did you get the feeling? Did you get the feeling that he was actually afraid?
Policero, the first test that he took, according to his son, this morning he was interviewed. He got a positive, but then he got a negative. So it could have been a false positive. The first test. The second test came out negative. Yeah. So Bolsonaro, the president of Brazil, doesn't have the coronavirus at this time.
Right. But what I'm saying is it's almost like Trump is afraid to take the test.
He said tonight that he would.
He said, when I have time. Well, I got news for you. Walk into your office, let him swab your goddamn cheek, put it in the petri dish or whatever they do, and get the results back to you in 30 minutes. It's that easy. It's not like, do I have enough time today to get my coronavirus test? It would be nice if
basketball player got his back in about 30 minutes.
It'd be nice if he took it as an example to the rest of America.
It's
know?
like the income taxes. They won't
Well,
do that
it-
either. Let
it's
us know
a-
the income tax. We don't know about the coronavirus.
It is an example to America because he's not getting a test he doesn't think he needs.
Well, I'll tell you something.
Hey, wait a
Do you-
second. Wait. Oh, sorry.
What were you going to say? Go
How
ahead,
do you
Ray.
know he hasn't had the test? He could be lying, like he lies about everything else. I mean, maybe he did have the test,
Well, I'll tell you what he did
and
do.
maybe he's sick.
He came back from China, and when he came back from China, do you remember where he went immediately?
To the toilet.
Uh,
No.
Where'd he go?
he went to Walter Reed.
He did?
Yes.
It was for a checkup.
Yes, but
Oh,
it was suspicious. It was a suspicious
I got
checkup
fooled.
because it was immediately
What?
after. It was immediately after coming back from China.
Yes, it was immediately after coming back from China, but it was months before the coronavirus thing.
No, no, it wasn't.
Why would you believe anything he says? Why would you believe anything that this guy says?
I believe what you say, but I just take it with a grain of salt.
Well,
That's fine, but why would you believe anything Trump says? He lies all the time. I don't care what you think about me.
It does. You
And
know,
this segment has been brought to you
He
by
lies constantly.
Schmata Toilet Paper.
yeah, right.
it's Democratic propaganda to call him a liar. That's all it is.
It's what?
It's Democratic propaganda to call him a liar, to say he's a xenophobe, to say that
Oh, you must be kidding.
No,
Say-
no,
must be
wait a minute,
kidding.
Phil.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Where did I bring? I had some Kool-Aid here for you to drink.
I was just going to say
and-
you drank the Kool-Aid.
And
there was no Kool-Aid on the shelves in your supermarket today, there, Charlene. That's because all the Democrats in New Jersey drank it.
by the way, on Amazon, you can get toilet paper. If you really need toilet paper, folks, you can get it on Amazon. Okay,
Someone said
but you
it, yeah.
can't get. But if you look for Purell, it
Right.
tells you what you can do instead of Purell.
Make your own or
Well,
something.
I saw a can of Lysol for $1,079, and it came in a gift box.
Hey,
I swear to God.
I did an Amazon search, and I was going to try to buy a bunch of, the small packages of the hand wipes. Maybe 15 hand wipes in a package, and
There's
give.
none of that either, yeah.
I was going to give them the customers that came into the store, and we started talking to them. By the way, here, take this. It might come in handy. I couldn't buy them. You cannot buy those things.
Really?
I'm going to buy some napkins and rebrand them as butt napkins.
Right. You're gonna have to use
So-
whatever you can. Tissues, napkins.
Stupid.
Dinner napkins will work, right? Clog up
Yeah.
your toilet.
You know,
Yeah, you don't want to have the
wipes where you can wipe down surfaces and wipe your hands and things. So, I thought it'd be a good idea to give away. Like a cup of coffee. Here, how about some hand wipes?
Hey, listen, by the way, I'll just tell you this quickly. We went out and we had dinner out tonight. We went to the Harlem Tavern up here, which was it's usually filled, and it was only about half filled.
Yeah.
And we wanted menus, and she only gave us one menu. And we said, can we have another menu? And they said, no, we're only handing out one menu per table. We said, why? She said, because we wipe each of these with Purell when we're through using them. And all the waiters and waitresses had gloves on. I mean, and I said, good for you. You really do care that we don't drop dead from this thing, But and they said we're considering doing away with the plastic menu they had and just printing them up on paper. And then when people are through with them, just wadding them up and throwing them in the garbage,
Using the
And
toilet paper.
yeah, and that's the way of handling it. Well, Josh, has everybody been decent tonight?
It's a good show.
Yeah, I think it was damn good, and it's been a pleasure. And also, I think the shorter format works. I think it really does, because just by the time we were starting to get tired of talking about stuff, it's time to go. Like the theme starts getting played.
Party's over.
Yeah, good seeing you again, Kathleen. Do it more often. I wish you were working so
Yeah.
damn hard, but
Good to hear
I know.
from Kathleen.
yeah, lift the.
Once we go into quarantine, it'll be all good.
Okay. And also, thanks to Jeff, thanks to Josh, thanks to Phil. Of course,
I'll stay
thank you,
away.
Phil. Kevin, thank you. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Charlene. You see, I'm not that far gone that I couldn't remember all of you. By the way, why don't you give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye back at you. Okay, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Let me hang up on them unceremoniously so that we can get the lines ready for the next wonderful group of people who are going to join the intersection with Jack Bishop, which is next over most of the same station. I'm off until, let's see here, we'll be back on Tuesday. I can't see any reason why I won't be back on Tuesday, okay? I could be I'm not back on Tuesday if I'm not feeling well, but I'm feeling okay, so, and it makes me feel happy and everything else. In the meantime, stay tuned for Jack next. And also come back here again on Tuesday, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. Have a nice weekend.